thank you both for joining me here. My name is HMiller. I'm a coach at MindGym, and tonight we're going to look at peak performance. We're going to take just a bite-sized look at peak performance. Quickly, a little bit about my background. In addition to working as a facilitator and coach in the corporate training industry, I've also worked as a teacher, teaching literature, writing, yoga, and theater, and I've worked as an editor in the technology industry. I have stories about peak performance from all of those areas of my life, but the one I'm going to share with you now is from boxing. I trained with a boxing coach, Boom Boom, and a few weeks into my training with him, he throws me in the ring with Liddy. Liddy's 116 pounds. That's a lot smaller than I am. She's shorter, she's slighter, she's lighter, and bam! She jabs me in the face. It's a jab. A jab's a warning shot. It's not even a heavy-duty punch. My head snaps back, my mouth guard pops out and shoots across the floor. I drop my hands, a big no-no. I'm stunned. And it hurt. Fast forward a few weeks later, he puts me in the ring with George. Now, not only is George a guy, he's a big guy, and he's a seasoned boxer. And to be perfectly frank, George looks a little rough around the edges. So Boom Boom throws me in the ring to spar with George. What do I do? What do I do? Do I let my past performance with Liddy determine what's going to happen with George? Or do I find out how to tap into my own skill and ability and reach peak performance? We'll talk about that later. First, let's talk about why we're here right now. We're here right now to learn about what is peak performance and how do we get ourselves and the teams that we manage to go from good performance to peak performance. So let's take a look at that. If you take a look at this graph, you'll see that ability increases over time. Ability increases over time. And as time continues, we build more skills, more confidence. We're able to tackle more problems. We get in the zone. And if you think back to when you first took on more and more managerial responsibility, those first 6 months, they were probably packed with new learning, new growth as your ability increased. Some people grow to become good performers, and some people grow to become peak performers. Our job is to figure out how we grow to become peak performers, how we get our teams to grow to become peak performers, and how we stay there. Talk to me about any experiences you have had with peak performance. What comes to your mind when you think about that? Any personal experience?
I think that what you were saying about taking about 6 months to develop your skills really resonated for me. As a teacher, I'm not exactly managing adults, but I am managing students, and I really feel like after that first year that the development I had from the first year to the second year was exponential. And in that second year, I wouldn't even say I was at peak at that point, but I would say in maybe my 4th or 5th year, I really started to feel like maybe I was hitting peak.
Okay. And what's your name?
Karen.
Thanks, Karen. So Karen, tell me, how did you recognize peak? For you as a teacher in that 4th or 5th year of teaching, what was peak performance? What did that look like?
I think it was a combination of factors. I think it was positive feedback from others, a sense of confidence in myself, a sense of competence, and then also enjoyment in what I was doing. So I think those 4 things really contributed.
Excellent. Very, very interesting. So confidence, enjoyment, and it also sounded like, did you say support?
Competence, and then also positive feedback.
Positive
feedback.
feedback.
But I would say
That's how you
support
phrased
is
it.
necessary as well.
Yeah, positive feedback. That's how you phrased it. All right. We're going to be diving a little bit deeper into our peak performances in just a moment. Actually, let's go ahead and do that now. So if you see, you've got these handouts here in front of you and a pen. We're going to do a little interviewing exercise. So your name is at the top of your handout. You're actually going to swap handouts. And you're going to interview each other, asking each other these questions and writing down each other's response. So Karen, you will ask, and what's your name?
Kate.
Kate. So Karen, you will ask Kate those questions, hand her sheet back to her so she has her responses, and then vice versa. Kate, you will ask Karen those questions and then hand her responses back to her.
Do you want us to do like one and one, or do I go through all of them first and
How about go through all of them first?
then she can ask me?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then hand her a sheet back, and then you can ask her. And we want to be very efficient with our time here. So maybe like 2 minutes per person. Okay? All right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hi, Kate. I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
All right. Which two people would you like to help reach peak performance? One may be yourself. Who are two people you want to?
Certainly myself. And then I'd also I have one member of my team that I really
Okay.
see as a leader, and I'd like to as
How should I write that down?
Her name's Cindy.
All right.
No.
What skills do they need? You and Sydney.
So I feel like I really need to develop skills in helping my folks get to peak performance.
So you
I'm
want
a
to
new
build those
manager. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to kind of figure out how to empower people.
And what about Cindy?
Really just learning the basics of our store, the kind of all the little idiosyncrasies of the store and the customers.
What existing skills do they need to develop that they still have? So what about you? Do you
For
have some
myself, I do. I've got some experience in leadership. In particular, I'm pretty good at sort of communication. I'm
Okay.
pretty good at that. But I feel like
skills? And what about Cindy?
Cindy, I think, would benefit from.
What skill does she have that she could?
She's got great customer service skills. So
Okay.
I think.
Describe what these two people will be doing when they are performing at peak. So what will you look like when you're a peak performer?
I think that my team will they'll be well equipped to do that.
So it's almost when you're at peak performance, your team will be the ones doing it.
Exactly. I'll be able to sort of instruct and coach.
Okay. And
I'm
what
going
about-
to jump in real quick. Any questions? Anything over here? Anything I can help you with?
I wanted to point out something interesting that Kate just said, which is that I asked her what she would look like when she was performing at peak, and she said that her team would be performing well. And I thought that was very interesting to think about the manager's job as actually defining your peak through other people's peak performance. That was interesting. You want to see it going?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What about for Sydney? What will she look like?
I think she'll have a real sound knowledge of the business and be able to kind of solve problems, troubleshoot when something isn't directly obvious or I'm not there. She'll be able to sort of have some independence.
And what are the benefits to you of achieving this peak performance?
Oh my gosh. I think for myself, I would feel like I had a better handle on our store and on our business. I'd be able to spend more of my time, growing our business instead of managing the people. And I think for Cindy, it would be that, the customers would really respond well to her, that, they would trust her, she could be a reliable source of information to them.
Okay. All right. Cool. Would you like to ask me?
Sure.
Here's
Okay.
your paper.
Thank you. Well, Karen, which two people would you like to help reach peak performance?
Well, one is myself,
Right.
and another one is my colleague Adam.
Okay. And what skills do they need? What do you need?
I need to, one, work on my organization skills,
Okay.
as well as my ability to communicate firmly. And Adam needs to develop, I think, his listening skills.
Listening and communication. Very good. What existing skills do you feel like you need to develop that you already have?
I think that I am very able to analyze and see the big picture, and I can keep working on that. And for Adam, I think his existing skill is talent at subject matter. He knows a lot about. He's a Spanish teacher, and he knows a lot about the subject.
So what will you be doing when you're at your peak?
I will be managing multiple roles effectively. Managing multiple roles effectively and facilitating growth in both adults and students. And Adam will be
enthusiastically enacting, I guess, the different requirements of IB, basically.
I see. Program right here. Yeah, okay. And so what are the benefits to you?
The benefits for me are, one, that I get a new challenge, which I really enjoy, and then two, that for Adam, it's that he's a more effective educator.
And
Let's start to wrap up and make our way back to the whole group.
Oh, that's perfect timing.
Alright. Thank you all for taking the time to do that. When I ran around and checked with the groups, Karen pointed out an interesting insight to me that the person she interviewed viewed peak performance as her team performing well. I want to check in with the rest of you and see if any other insights or interesting moments came up for you during these interviews. Karen.
I noticed that when I said managing multiple roles effectively, I noticed like a lot of response from around me. Just like vocal recognition of that as being something that maybe a lot of other people identify with.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a challenge for us. And just between work and family life, we have lots of roles to manage. Not just within our work life, but work and family, we have lots of different roles.
And I noticed one of the last questions, Karen had mentioned that, when she would benefit from Adam, her colleague, reaching his peak performance, meaning that it serves everyone to have all of us working together. I mean, it serves everyone to have everybody at their peak because the organization functions better when everybody's working at their peak.
Absolutely. And everybody has the power to reach their peak, too. Past performance is not an indicator of future performance. Take my boxing example, right? I'm in the ring with Liddy, I get popped in the face, it's a bad scene. I'm in the ring with George. That past performance with Liddy doesn't predict what happened with George. And I'll say more about that at the end. Other thing I want to point out is how important it is to realize that we can get people from here to here. That's possible. That kind of forethought, that kind of what can be. Like, how do I take this person and get them here? That kind of possibility and being able to tap into that is very powerful as a leader. Let's take a look now at a model that's going to help us understand how peak performance happens. So let's take a look at this. Plotting our journey. So peak performance is this perfect balance between challenge and ability. And this is built on the research in positive psychology. And positive psychology basically studies how we are good at what we do. How does that happen? What makes us good at what we're good at? And the biggest pioneer in the field is Hungarian psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, or the flow guy. You might know him as the flow guy. And in his 30 years of research, he discovered that peak performance happens in this kind of equilibrium between challenge and ability, when we're super challenged and we have faith in our ability to rise in the challenge up here. Now, when we don't have that faith in our ability, or we don't have someone in our corner championing us, like boom boom on the ropes, encouraging me, or your supportive colleagues, Karen, then we're in the world of anxiety. If the challenge is low, so we don't really need to engage a lot of our skills, we're in the world of apathy. And over here, we spend a lot of time in the boredom quadrant. And by that I mean, our challenge is moderate. We're faced with a moderate challenge. We know we can accomplish it. We don't feel super mobilized. We're not in that flow or that peak state. This model is helpful because it helps us plot where we might be and where different team members might be. This model is also helpful because it helps to explain why when we set one goal for a whole group of people, not all the people are going to achieve peak performance for that one goal. So Karen, I heard you mention that you were a teacher.
Yes.
As a teacher myself, I'm sure that you've experienced, you have one objective, and some students knock it out of the ballpark, and other students just can't seem to reach that objective. A lot of that has to do with belief in skill set. Belief in skill set. So self-efficacy is very critical here. The idea that I have faith in my abilities, I have faith in my skills. And this is what takes us back to boxing. So when I'm in the ring with George, I achieve peak performance. In part because I've got Boom Boom on the ropes cheering me on, and in part because I have faith in my skill and my ability. And the number one technique in boxing isn't being burly, it's not throwing punches, it's footwork. And I was so well trained in footwork that I trusted that, and I just outmaneuvered George and he couldn't hit me. And then he got so tired I could hit him. Now, how we use this model to actually get our people from good to great and keep them there, good to peak and keep them there, we'll cover that in the full 90-minute workout. So I encourage you to sign up for that, and I thank you so much for your time.